Hello guys and welcome back. So after my separation, I can now really go ahead and start to bring my hair apart or bring them down now. There are multiple ways that you can try to do that. One of the easy way is just gonna go create a new sculpt layer underneath the sculpt. And the reason being is I just want to separate my separation part and my dragging down part into two different layers, so that if I don't like one of the steps I've done, I can always fall back. Okay, make sure that you click on the edit of the new layer so that you are now combing that layer. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use my comb brush again. I can comb my hair down. Okay, now it's gonna take some time. Let me go back to my tool settings, reset my brush, and make the strength higher, and I can bring the hair down. Now when you're bringing those down, you can see they actually can intersect with the body. Sometimes that's gonna be really disappointing, right? You can actually tell it not to by check on the collide with mesh, and that's gonna prevent it from intersecting with the mesh. So sometimes that could be beneficial. You can see now it's not actually going inside. It's gonna try its best to not go inside, but it will go inside because the model is not really dense and the calculation maybe is simplified so that it's not always gonna work. Okay, anyway, so I'm just gonna gradually bring my hair down. There are multiple layers, so my goal here is gonna actually gradually bring the layer down, but I'm gonna go from the bottom ones first. So just to make things easier, I can actually do this. I'm gonna go use the freeze brush, right? I'm gonna freeze the part that is actually more or less like the bottom layer of those hair. Maybe these guys, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and use my comb brush, and because the freeze actually freezes the thing that is being freezed, so that I cannot do anything with those guys anymore. I can do the things with the top ones. Now I want the reversed effect. To do so, it's very easy. Just check on this invert frozen effect. Now when I start combing, I can only comb the bottom ones now, which are freezed. So that I can really start to draw those out. I like this freezed color. It's actually making things easier to see, so that's why I want to do it this way instead of freezing the other parts. Right. So I'm just gonna bring those guys down, to the back, make them go down real fast, like this. Just comb them down. This bottom ones doesn't really concern me too much because I know that they're gonna be covered maybe later on by the top layers anyways, so why would I pay too much attention on them as long as they're colliding with the geometry and not really intersecting. I should be happy with the result, more or less. Okay, alright, so that's one layer of hair going down, and there's actually not that much here because we're having very little guides, so we can just gradually bring those guys all down. And here I actually wanted to turn off the collision because it's kind of like colliding with the ear, which I don't want it to have. Let me turn that off and bring these guys down. I can manually prevent it from colliding anyways, so I don't really need that. Sometimes I just need them to go in, go down. This guy go down too. Okay. Alright. Now you want to also push them in as much as you can, because if you don't, then the top layer will have lesser space to go in. That means you're gonna get a really puffy result. So just be aware of that. You know that the top layer will go down and push the other layers in, so you want to push them in more than you think they need to, if that makes sense. Okay. So maybe it will be easier so that we can actually grow the hair on the geometry that doesn't have ear. if the hair is supposed to be covering it anyways. It's kind of like a debate, like do you want the ear to be there, do you not, do you want to see it later? Anyways, so now those guys are being pushed downwards. Again, you want to push them inwards as much as you can, so I always try to push them a little bit more inside, so I don't have to worry about positioning the top ones when I'm dragging the top ones down. Alright, so that's that part. Let me move on to a few more. So I'm gonna unfreeze this bottom one, and I'm gonna freeze these guys here in the middle. Oh, it'd be easier actually to freeze those ones first. So it's gonna be these guys in the middle there. You can do a little bit a time, but you can also choose to do a lot depending on if you wanted to be super careful on this part or not. I'm always super careful. Maybe that's like some overreaction. Sometimes maybe you don't have to, but I just wanted to make it perfect. Anyway, now I'm locking those guys, holding down Control and unlock the other guys, so I can bring those guys down using again the comb brush and drag those guys down. Okay. And of course you can turn on 7 to actually see some nice shading. That way it's easier to see problem actually. But it's gonna be harder to see sometimes because the shadows is too dark. Oh, you can of course go change the shadow by going to the outliner and grab the lights and go to attribute editor. You can change the color of the shadow by bringing the shadow color up so that they're not that dark. Okay, and I can do the same thing for the back ones. Alright, now going back to my grooming. Right, I'm gonna keep grooming my hair inwards. And sometimes if you're happy with this guy, you can actually go ahead and use freeze. And by the way, holding down shift and right mouse button, you can go to those guys, the brushes, and you can already unfreeze those guys and just keep going with the rest of the guys. Okay, so go down here, you going down and going up there. Okay, now try to avoid clipping of the hairs if possible, so the upper guys are always covering the lower hairs. So I think I like the result of this guy I'm ending up with, right? So I just need to again go to freeze, control and drag to unfreeze that, and go to comb again so I can keep combing things down from there. So I'm gonna comb these guys down. All right. Alright, I think I'm gonna fast forward this part until I finish all the combing down part. There's really not that much of a secret here. It's just, make them go down. Alright, here when I'm trying to do the top part, right, I do find something I don't like because my hair is getting shorter and shorter because they're coming from there instead of from there, let's say. So, so I'm getting shorter and shorter here. They're gonna end up there instead of the bottom. So how can I fix that? Well, I can also use this lens brush to tell it to have different lens, right? So what I have to do here will be just go to the lens, and then let me reset this lens brush, right? And I'm gonna increment this guy. Oh, I also check on invert frozen effect. Increase the length of this guy so that I'm having longer hair, and then I can comb it down so that my hair actually falls down. Right, actually covers the other hair, if that makes sense to you. Okay, I'm actually going to do that to all the hairs that are currently, you know, going up, so that I can do that all together. Right, I'm gonna go use the freeze every little guy here on the top, and then just basically make them longer using a lace brush to just, you know, make them longer here and longer here, so that they can fall down and actually cover the things I want them to cover. Okay. And you too. Okay. Alright, now I can move on to keep doing that. The combing. It's gonna get close, really close. I'm getting really close though. Alright, so let's the freeze brush, and maybe just defreeze the ones in the middle. And I can bring these guys down first. Alright guys, welcome back. So I finished all the combing done, but I do have some issue here. See that line there, right? Now what is causing that? If you actually go back and take a look at my layers, turn those layers off, it's still there, so it's really hard to predict what's happening there, but I'm assuming that that's because of my region map. So I actually repainted my region map, but it's not doing anything good either. So I'm just gonna give up on troubleshooting that. I'm gonna actually go ahead and go back to my sculpting here. Let me turn off the others so that it's straight. I have two of those, three of those weird lines. I can actually control Alt B to change my background so I can really see those easily. We go to the freeze brush and oops, make sure the edit mode here is on the sculpt layer of the hair. I'm gonna grab this guy and this guy here. Right, and this guy. Okay, those guys. I'm gonna use the comb brush just to, bring those guys down. I don't really care if what's actually going on to them, just bring them down so that they're fixed. They're just one here. I don't think they're gonna cause any trouble. And they're all separated into different sides. Just bring them in so that they're not causing any trouble. Alright, now let me go back and turn back on my hairs. Okay, so that's gonna be the combing part, and of course there are more things we can do. We can actually go ahead and turn off this guide now so that we're not seeing it. So we have done a lot of refining here, and but there are more things I can do, like maybe I can make the separation stops right here, right, so I don't have that weird separation here. I can also go ahead and do more combing to make my hair looks more organic, that you can, because now it's like too straight. It's okay, maybe sometimes the design is like this, right, so the hair is kind of straight like this, but you can also assume that some people may have a lot of variations here. Maybe I can add some changes, add something interesting and tweak the hair shape, and maybe use some more modifiers just to break up this very clean result a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna do that in the next tutorial. Okay, see you next time.